Hello everybody and welcome to Forever Sports, and we're going to be doing a bit of a weekend wrap-up. Very exciting weekend of rugby, a little bit of URC action as well as sevens, as well as a very interesting weekend of Six Nations rugby, which really sets up this coming weekend's clash, Ireland versus France. It's going to be following weekend's clash on the 8th of March. The next round of the Six Nations is going to be absolutely epic because it's Ireland versus France, and the way things have gone, the winner of that probably takes the Six Nations, in all honesty. But before we get into it, please do smash like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. Let's start with the Six Nations, shall we? So on Saturday, we saw an incredible game. Wales taking on Ireland. 18 points, 27 is how it ended. Wales actually up 13-10 at half time. Now, I said at the beginning of the Six Nations, after that first round, I said Ireland looked a little bit rusty, and there seems to be a little bit of that aura kind of fading away to a certain degree, in terms of teams believing they can actually get a result against Ireland. And I thought Wales showed that this weekend, and I think France would have watched that game and thought, hang on, we can actually have a go at this Irish side if we can get them under pressure early. I think they were saved by the 20-minute red card, because I think Gary Ringrose was rightfully sent off. And when Bundy Aki came on to replace him, he was absolutely sensational. I mean, Bundy Aki must be one of the top 5 best players in the World Rugby at the moment. Locked on starter for the British and Irish Lions. I'd love to see Hugh Jones outside him. But anyway, so in the end, Ireland coming through and showing their class, but not getting a bonus point is a huge result. And Wales, it's a loss, but I think, it's the first time I think we've seen a Wales side take a step forward. Matt Sherrod made the right calls, in big positions, and play stood up. And there was a bit of a newfound confidence. And now they'll be going into this clash against Scotland thinking, well, maybe at an outside chance we can potentially push for results. And then that last game at home against England, I think they'll be fancying that. I think they'll be pretty much targeting that, really. And then a very controversial game followed that. England 16, Scotland 15. And the big videos doing the rounds is Finn Russell being told to move the kick, or place of the kick for the conversion to potentially win the game right at the end of the game, to the touchline where Duhan van der Merwe clearly scored it in line with basically the 5 meters inside. Lots of criticism towards Duhan van der Merwe, saying that he should have got inside, maybe could have gotten a meter or two, but in fairness, the referee got it wrong. Finn Russell took the kick from the wrong place. Now, interesting is the reaction to England, because you go back a couple of weeks, England beating France, and there was a huge reaction. All of a sudden, it was England back. This England side's really good. Steve Borthwick's doing good things. They could find a result, and then they lost to Scotland by a point. Again, they probably should have lost if Finn Russell was better off the tee. And lots of criticism against England for the style of rugby they're playing. Kicking off 9, kicking off 10. Not playing a lot of rugby is the accusation against them. And a bit of a boring brand. So I think it's a fair assessment. I don't think they do play the most scintillating rugby, but at the end of the day, is it effective? And right now they are a leading team to potentially win the Six Nations, and they'll take on Wales and Italy in the next round. So if the right results happen between Ireland and France, England could sneak a result, but. Then for me, the most interesting game was, the wildest game was Italy and France. Now, Italy actually scored first and played really well for about 20 minutes, and then France flicked a switch. They literally just flicked a switch and were absolutely tremendous. I mean, 73 points to 24. Italy, I think, is third largest defeat in Six Nations history. And it's so frustrating because you see Italy have moments, and you think, oh, here we go. But just defensively are so poor. And that's the big thing I think they need to change as a side. They've got to be better defensively. They can't concede 73 points. You can't be conceding 35 points in the first half. To score 70 points against France is good. And if it's a 17-20, for example, you can see 2 tries fewer, then all of a sudden it becomes a bit of a game. But that's becoming a really difficult part for Italy. So if you look at the table, from the Six Nations point of view, you've got England currently with 10 points, Ireland with 14, France with 11. So again, if for example there were a draw against Ireland and France, which is unlikely, England become a genuine contenders. If France were to beat Ireland without a bonus point, for example, and England were to win the next 2 games with bonus points, they can go up to, England can finish with 20 points, max 20 points. Ireland can finish with a max of 24 points, and France a max of 21 points. So Ireland beat France, that's pretty much the Six Nations wrapped up. Wales sitting with 1 point out of 3 games at the moment. Scotland versus Italy could be, should be an interesting one, but I expect the table to pretty much remain like this. Obviously, the big one's just obviously this Ireland versus France game. The winner of that likely to win the Six Nations. I mean, France, to be fair, could win and still lose, given the fact that Ireland not getting that bonus point against Wales could hurt them. They could have been 4 points ahead of France, whereas now they're just 3 points. But they get the win against France. That'll pretty much be the Six Nations wrapped up. Elsewhere, there was URC action this weekend, and we're going to have a look at the table. So, but basically, the Lions took on the Bulls and lost in a very frustrating game. I felt the Lions were really poor in the opening, then had a big comeback, but left themselves with just far too much to do in the end. And let's see how the table looks going into a full URC round this weekend. So the Bulls, with that win, have kind of got their season a little bit more back on track. They were threatening to sort of not spiral because they're still, third and deservedly third. But they were looking very poor recently. But that performance, I think, will give them a big boost. So they're currently sitting in third place. Sharks in fourth place. It's Bulls versus Stormers this weekend and Sharks versus Lions. So if we go and look at then Stormers, they've played as many games as everybody else. The Sharks and the Lions both have a game in hand. They'll play again next weekend in that catch-up game. The Lions have to find a result. A win this past weekend would have put them into the top 8 or in the mix for top 8. So they've got to win this weekend. A win, for example, gives them a chance in their top 8. Stormers as well. Stormers lose this weekend, and you kind of feel those top 8 chances. So you could really, really start to slide. So they've got lots of big work to do. It's derbies this weekend, so opportunities for them to try and lift themselves up once again. I think the Lions have shown in the last 2 weeks they're there and thereabouts. They just need to get over the line. Stormers, on the other hand, they're struggling, especially with all the injuries of the likes, and Sharks also with all the injuries, but they've put in such a big performance against the Bulls. The question is, who can they get back in that time, and are they going to be able to replicate that against the Lions? And then finally, and we'll have a look at it, is that there were some sevens last night, and heartbreaking for the Blitzboks, who came down in the final, and they was looking, and tell you what, they almost managed to stage another comeback. But it was incredible scenes in the tournament. The fact that the Blitzboks in the semi-finals went down to 6 men very early and managed to come back to beat Fiji of all teams in the semi, and then went down to Argentina in that final. So yeah, it was frustrating from a Blitzboks point of view. But at the end of the day, the main thing I think is that we can firmly probably say that we are back with regards to the side being competitive and genuinely being contenders for the series, which we weren't for quite a while because of how poor we were in the last couple of years. So if we look at it over here, this is the final score, 19 points to 12 in that final. But this, for me, the game over here was absolutely tremendous. 6 men to come back and beat Fiji over there was huge. So if we then look at the standings, and this is the important thing, is if you look at the men's standings over here, the Blitzboks currently sitting on 62 points. They are 6 points behind Argentina. So that's the frustrating thing, is that we've actually lost ground on potentially winning the series, because we need to really have beaten Argentina. If we had beaten Argentina, it would have been a 4-point swing. We would have been sitting on 64. They would have been sitting on 66, and we would have been 2 points behind. We would have been ahead of Fiji and tied with Spain, who finished as bronze medalists. I mean, Spain are having a phenomenal season. Basically, you kind of feel probably have to win. We have to be in the final, I think, in the next 2 weeks, the next 2 tournaments, and ideally try and win Hong Kong or Singapore to give ourselves a chance. We've been there and thereabouts. I think, that Dubai, this result's killing us. Even if we had come fourth in the Dubai, if we just made the semis, for example, with 14 points there, we'd be sitting on 66 points. We'd be right in the hunt. So it's amazing how, with the shortened format, you cannot afford to lose any sort of amount of games or have a bad tournament, because you can just suddenly be out of it immediately. So the top 4 still very much not separated by much. 6 points in it can definitely change. And this weekend, for example, I mean, look at the consistency. We've seen these sides pretty much feature in the top 4 in every single tournament. Each side so far has had a bad tournament. I think the main thing for us is we've got to make sure we're playing in finals and getting semi-finals. Again, if this was 14, if that was 16, that then we'd be sitting there with, we'd be tied to top of the log. But Argentina, to be fair, we've gone back to back now. You can't argue that, and credit to them. They've been really, really good. But exciting to see our Blitzboks being back to one of the best sides out there, and the ability to be able to beat anyone, I think, is still there. But yeah, now it kind of just comes to who picked rocks up on the day. Let me know what you thought about this weekend's weekend of rugby down in the comments below. Please do smash the like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Steve. I'll chat to you soon.